I'd just like to introduce Julia and Jen here from Content at Scale. I met Julia when I was in Austin in March, and
Yes. hmm
and I like Julia because she said, "Oh, everyone says you're cool, and we have to hang out more next time that I'm over." So that was a good compliment for me. So Julia, Jen from Content at Scale, they have a application which I've started using, creating SEO specific content using AI, and it's very impressive. One of the one of the simple benefits is I get to create 2,500 word SEO content in 4 minutes, although I do have to spend 5 minutes setting up the article correctly. So it's 9 whole minutes for that big article. And Julie, you're going to talk to us a little bit about what's going on with Google also.
100%. Yeah, we know AI is coming to Google search. So that is something I've been training a lot on, helping us get ready, testing it myself. So we have a whole deck here, but I move quickly. So it won't be boring. That's my goal.
So if anyone's got any questions, feel welcome to interrupt Julia or Jen, whoever's talking at the time, because I'm sure if you guys have questions, someone else has also. So I'll hand it over to you, Julia. I might go sit in the crowd so I can watch, and look forward to hearing what you've got.
Perfect. Let's do it. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen. As Damian was saying, I'm the president here at Content at Scale. It's great to be here with you all. He's definitely told us about his community. Seems like a lot of good people. So we are super excited to be here with you. And Gen is here as well. He's the VP of Marketing at Content at Scale. So let's just jump right into it. As Damon was saying, what we've built, really our founder, Justin McGill, for some backstory, built this company, built this tech. It's called Content at Scale. And what it's doing is it's fueling the production of around 50 million words per month now. So 50 million words per month, which is crazy. And what we're seeing in this company and through what we're able to do with our users is a ton of change that's going to happen in inbound marketing and content marketing. And quite honestly, ChatGPT, not just what we've built, but the whole AI landscape, it's going to shift everything as we know it. So that's what I want to share a little bit with you about. And as Damian said, if you have questions, happy to answer those. So let's jump right in. So some history and perspective from where I come from. I used to have a human writing agency. It's funny, we now use the word human to describe writing, what writing used to be. And I sold it in 2021 with a goal to enter AI because I knew GPT is going to change everything. I didn't know ChatGPT was coming. It came in the fall of 2022, but in 2021, I saw GPT itself, and it was growing at lightning speed. It went from a couple 100 million parameters to over 175 billion in a matter of less than 2 years. It's the fastest growing technology really in the history of the world, with the growth that this model has picked up. So at Content at Scale, what we're able to do is see a huge shift. And what I used to do in my content writing agency was 10 million words a year. And at Content at Scale, we're doing 50 million words per month. That's 5 years of content production that I used to do humanly. Now we're able to do it in 1 month. So what's interesting is we're in times where AI is this much faster and, dare I say, better than any human writer. And the reason that is because of the data base that it has access to and all of these data points. So 80% and plus of marketers are saying AI is the key to the future. They're saying AI should be a top priority. And they're saying that AI content is as good as humanly generated content. So it's not taboo anymore to say that AI is actually faster and better than the human content writer. This is not a taboo thing to say. In fact, what's interesting is we're seeing a lot of agencies adapt to using AI as the baseline writer, and their clients are happy. They're excited. They're like, thank you for making the switch, because if you weren't, we were going to. So it's crazy that we're here. We just months ago, we were at a place where even I was saying the human writer is better, but times have really shifted because of how fast this technology is growing. So if we know this, then what we should be doing is replacing that rough draft stage that used to be human-only content writing with AI. That really can be that rough draft replacement and saving hours of work, because that alone used to take 7 to 10 plus hours to produce one good long form content piece, 3,000 words plus. That took days, if not weeks. So the redistribution of human work is a real thing. We are seeing it happen. Back then, and this is really just a year ago, content and content marketing itself, large scale campaigns that would grow mass amounts of traffic. The main thing you needed was writing. Everything else came secondary because content writers were hard to find and hire. Now with AI, we can redistribute the time that you're putting into writing, and we can put it into other sections of what we do in work. And the actual roles and layers, this is something we're really excited to talk about, because it's not that the writer is going away, it's that their role is shifting. And I think, this is an opportunity if we see it. So it used to take 10 plus writers to deliver over 100 pieces of content per month if we were doing it only human. So if it was done from a human place, but now we can do 100 pieces a month with one writer running the AI machine, which is unbelievable. And we're actually putting this into practice at Content at Scale. We're doing it for our own content marketing. We're doing pretty close to 100 pieces a month. And we have a lot of clients doing the same. They're scaling up to 80, 100 pieces of content per month. And how they're doing it is one writer is actually driving the engine, so to speak. They're the one editing the output. So this means that time can go into the other pieces, which might have been left forgotten and are arguably just as important, if not even more important, like the distribution of your content, the strategy behind your content, how creative you're going to get with what you put into your actual content. So if we can spend more time there, that's actually really good news. We can get more profitable if we're doing this as a service. And I would argue we can actually create better content. So really good news all around. There's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of, I think, negative headlines even. Oh, writers' jobs are getting lost. That's not untrue. But I think if we pivot and we think of ourselves as in control of the AI, that's how we can adapt. It was said best. I heard this the other day. It's not AI that's going to replace us. It's the person who's driving that AI. It's the marketer using AI. So how can we get ahead of them and use AI to our advantage now? That's how to think. So this is a side-by-side difference of what we were actually able to implement in our own marketing at Content at Scale and what we're seeing with our users. So instead of having to go out and headhunt this many writers, you can have one writer in charge of the AI and doing a phenomenal job, doing 100 plus pieces per month. So if we know that human-only content writing is really something that is looked at as archaic, if not a total, just not a waste of time because the human is still needed, but not a good use of time when we can optimize our time, we can use our time better, then we believe it's really time to shift into something that we're calling AIO. And the meaning of that is to think of the AI as your rough draft creation. And then the O is your role as an optimizer of that content. So no longer do you have to sit at the desk writing by hand, hopefully not, I still use pen and paper for my to-do list, but definitely not am I sitting at my computer writing 3,000 words from scratch anymore. It just doesn't make sense. Instead, we can task the AI, prompt the AI to create that content, and then optimize it, make it better, get it ready to publish. So when we talked about coming here and giving you some good content, something that Damian asked was, can you talk about the generative AI coming to search? And this is an important topic because, this is going to affect how we do content on a large scale. Google is responsible for 80% of the world's online traffic. It's crazy because it's easy to think that Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc., can drive a lot of traffic, but the truth is Google drives the majority of traffic. It comes from search. So how can we adapt knowing this and knowing that AI is coming to search? So first of all, as some background here, our content at scale, our own website is really built this way. And so, we are probably the first people that should be worried about how this is going to affect us. On average, we're getting 400,000 new users to our site per month. That's growing. It was 180,000 in January. And that's 100% through content and backlinks. We're doing both. We're adding consistent content and then we're building up our backlinks. And it's not, that we're buying these backlink farms and all of the spamming techniques. It's more or less, we actually have link builders that know what they're doing. They're pitching guest blogs. They're looking for places where we can basically say, hey, we're a resource for this topic. So that's how we approach link building. But we went from just a few hundred indexed keywords in January, I think it was 160, to over 15,000 indexed keywords in May. And we have been 100% publishing AI written content with about 10 to 15 minutes of editing. So that content is written with our own tool, Content at Scale, and then it's published on our blog. And it's always optimized for a keyword, which our tool actually does by itself, 100% automated. So we are a case study, of our own product, which is what we want to be. But we're worried, right? If AI is coming to search, well, is all of our traffic going to be cannibalized? So Google revealed this in the middle of May, and I watched their I/O keynote a bunch of times. And since then, I've actually had access to this search labs where I've been able to play with the actual AI and search and see what it looks like. But something that really stuck out to me in the keynote, which has held true when I've tested their AI in the search labs, is their focus on creators. So on the stage, the screenshots that they shared and the previews of the AI in search focused on creators. And what's interesting, and I'll show you this later, is their emphasis on this. They said, we know that people don't want to hear from robots. People want to hear from people. And so their AI in search is going to serve as a way to highlight the creator. It's really interesting. But to really show you the direction I think that Google wants to go in, let's go back in time a little. So Google added an extra E to their EAT acronym in December of 2022. And what these letters stand for is expertise, authoritativeness. The extra E is experience. So experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. That is what makes up page quality rating. Are we going to rank this at the top of Google? Well, it has to meet this level of experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trust. If it doesn't, then it won't rank. So trust is the most critical component. It's kind of born from all the others, because no matter how experienced, expert, or authoritative that content seems, if it doesn't have that trust factor, then it's not going to rank. And then Google added this specifically to their guidelines. They said many types of pages are trustworthy and achieve their purpose well when created by people with a wealth of personal experience. For example, which would you trust? A product review from someone who has personally used the product, or a review from someone who has not? And then they continue to further explain this. So people shouldn't use the content if these elements aren't there. If a page is considered highly inexpert, then it's rated the lowest. It's considered untrustworthy content. And it also touched on the reputation of not only the website, but the content creator, which Google went on to say includes social media. What are they talking about on social media? What's being said about them? Brand mentions, all of those things are actually really important to how Google looks at this acronym, which is their benchmark for ranking content. And we'll talk about how that's going to matter in AI in a minute. But the reputation of that publisher, the author, if that's you creating content, that's you. that the reputation of that brand matters more than it ever did. So for this, it's good to think about, where are your bylines living? Do you have guest blogs going out? Those kinds of things can really raise your EAT. And it's interesting because whenever you dissect the guidelines, Google continues to point to people that have real experience, which is really cool, because to me, that's a benchmark that it's easy to create this kind of content. Because if all you have to do is add in your personal experience and then a robot can write the rest, well, that's actually a lot easier than trying to build the next Forbes.com. So Google is really putting preference on people with individual experience and expertise. And then they talk about topical relevance, which is something that's not new. It's been true in the SEO industry forever. And their example was, don't talk about taxes if you have a cooking website. So be very true to your topic. And then have trustworthy elements. A shopping page needs to have, how do you contact the customer? Or how do you contact the service department for customers? Testimonials, things that raise trust. And then Google brought in social media posts and forum discussions. That those things are actually considered in the quality standards. So all these things really make up that high EAT factor. And then Google really puts the cherry on the top when they're like, very high EAT is a content creator or a website who is the uniquely authoritative go-to source for that topic. And they have a wealth of experience. So don't forget that, right? A uniquely authoritative go-to source for your topic. That's the highest EAT. So then this is the next question. Well, does that even matter if AI is coming to search? Yes, and here's how. So if we go back to the I/O keynote, this is something Google said. And this really stuck out to me because it seemed like the North Star of their entire presentation. It really kind of summed up a lot of the things they were showing. They said people will always value the input of other people. And I was so glad they didn't say robots. They said people. And that's the truth. Whenever we go and we look up any query, think about any question you've had in the last week. What do you want to see for that? Sometimes ChatGPT will answer that question better than a human. And that's where we need to avoid ranking for those keywords that are too superficial, because that is what will shift. But we need to think about, how can we really put ourselves and our perspective front and center in our content? And, for us, that's 10 minutes of editing when AI writes the content. So if we go back to the I/O keynote, something that they said as well to back that up, people want to hear from people, is that we know people want to hear insights from others to inform their decisions. So one aspect of what they've put into this AI is to highlight and drive attention to existing content, not so much take traffic away from that content. So this was a purpose and a goal of AI in search. How do we drive attention to more content on the web? And they finally said this is a jumping off point. So it's not that here's Google trying to cannibalize everybody's traffic, which I think is something we kind of hear, Google becoming the next ChatGPT. That's not necessarily going to happen. Google wants this to be a jumping off point, an AI-powered snapshot that helps people dive deeper into content creators and their content. So what's interesting to me is back in 2013, there was something called Google authorship. And it was basically your face in search results. It was your byline, it was your name, and it was your face. And I was able to rank for Google authorship very simply, very easily, back in the days when SEO was easy. And it was almost like a brand feature in SERPs. And I got so much business from it. And so that's why I was really excited whenever I saw the design of what will be AI citations in search. And these are actually, because Google is developing this every day, this is now a carousel. The last time I tested it 24 hours ago. So this is a carousel with up to 9 results, and they are the citations for the AI content on the left that gets generated. So it's not that Google's just going to pull content and not actually give you a resource. Google's goal is to give you a resource where you can click and kind of jump into that content and have a brand experience. And it's interesting because you see the name of the brand, you see the favicon, you see the title of the article, you see an image. So it's very much like a feature that we didn't used to have in search. And every time I've looked at long tail keywords, this comes from the IO keynote examples, I see the same thing. There were a couple times I did not see citations. I saw those, I think, day one when I was testing this, and I didn't see it in the next few days. Instead, I continue to see citations. So Google is really doing, I think, a good job at what they presented in their keynote of saying, hey, we know that you actually want to click. We know that you want to read content from other people. And so we're going to give you that experience. We're not just going to cannibalize the search. And then even if you use Bard, which has also been the concern, well, if I just go to Google Bard and I open that up, what is that going to look like? So even in there, you can see that the sources also have the branding, the brand name, the brand image, logo, and then an image straight from that article, as well as something from the article. Again, a pretty solid brand feature where there is citations given to that source. And the reason why ultimately I do not think Google will screw this up, which is another concern, well, you know, they could change all this overnight and then take away all the traffic, is because of how much money they actually make from these publishers. So last year, Google made over $200 billion just from ad revenue. And a lot of this, 160 billion, 58%, actually came from Google search. What drives Google search purchase up? It's the publishers. It's people like you and me putting out content consistently, putting out content on our websites, putting out blogs. So we drive up the competition, which increases Google's ad revenue. And that's why I don't think Google's going to screw that up. They have to send traffic to the publisher. Otherwise, they quite honestly cannibalize their entire income model, which is not good for Google. So attribution is not going to go away. And what's interesting is, and things have changed so much whenever I wrote this talk like 5 days ago and then tested in Search Labs, what I see is that the creator is actually getting a lot of preference versus the big publisher. So for example, Forbes.com ranks for 1 million keywords. But whenever you type in a keyword that Forbes usually ranks for, and you use the generative search, you see a niche publisher ranking above Forbes in the AI generated results. And that is good news. I think that really means we're going to see a shift where the niche site publisher can actually have more of a win in that new AI search feature that we looked at, right? We're talking about those top 3 results. And now it's going to be 6 and 9 results because it's turning into a carousel. So that is an opportunity for clicks and features and traffic. So if experience, we think back to 2022, right? We went back in time, we looked at that. So Google added that extra E for experience. And they put so much emphasis on that when it launched. And I really think that the reason they did that was they saw all the AI content that was going to hit the web. You know, with 100 million users and now arguably could be 5 times that using ChatGPT, there's going to be a lot of websites that are going to be published overnight. Somebody's just going to hit publish. And people are going to think that marketing just got easy. We know that that's not true. In order to get conversions, to build trust, you have to put out good content. Even if you're using AI as your baseline, right? We still want to edit it, make it better, get it ready for publishing. Even if that only takes 10 minutes now, that's great. I'll take the easy road, but I won't ever hit publish without reading. And that's what a lot of marketers are doing. So Google saw that coming. And I think the one of the main reasons they added the extra E for experience. This is how we're going to be able to filter through all of that AI content and find good content to rank. That niche publisher site content that you see up here, which is not ChatGPT exact match spit out content. It does have editing. It has pictures, contributions from the actual creator. So all of that is an element of experience. And that extra E for experience is really Google's gold ticket. This is how you get to these citations, because we see that you have experience. So really, personal experience is how you stand out, I think, and continue to earn not just the current top of Google, but even the new attributions that are coming to search whenever this fully rolls out. So what does this come down to? Nothing really new here. It does come down to content. In fact, quality content at scale. And then links, being cited, not just link farming here, but actually being quoted, cited on high quality sources as a known expert. Like Damian, he is on Digital Marketer all the time, quoted as an expert. That is building experience and how Google is going to see him and his site content. So here's how we're doing it at Content at Scale whenever we went through the roof with all of our keywords. And here's how we're future proofing the content that we're publishing. So first of all, yes, absolutely use AI, embrace it, because it will save you time. It will save you so much time and money too. And what comes out of that is energy. We've seen freelancers adapt to using AI and they're cutting their workload by 50 to 70%. And they're still charging the same because the client still gets good content. That's what they care about. They don't care how you did it. In fact, they're like I saw 2 days ago, one of our users said, I told my client we're now using AI. And my client said, that's great, because if you weren't, I was going to find somebody that did. Couldn't believe it. So people are really aware. Agency clients, marketers, we saw it, right? That Capterra study, over 80% of marketers know that content can be written better by AI than a human. And it's funny because December of 2022, I was actually on stage, the same event Damian and I were both at, and I was saying, the human writer is better. Don't use AI. So for me to say this is quite the jump. But this is fine. The facts are out there. So on Google Search Central blog, they say this, that they reward high quality content. They really don't care how it's produced. So a year ago, you might have seen some of this. Google really waffled on, should we rank AI content or should we not? And at first, in April of 2022, they said, no, we're not going to rank any of this. It's garbage. And then in October, they completely changed their opinion because they knew they couldn't win this one. And they actually had to join the fight. So now, if you go to their guidelines, this is what they actually say. They do not come down on AI content. What they want is helpful, useful, experience-proving content. And you can still produce that with AI. So what we're doing is we're still focusing TOFU, meaning top of funnel content. There's a lot of companies that are not. We heard one big company, Gin and I were sitting at their panel. One big company was talking about paying TikTok influencers and dropping their focus on TOFU content. And that's just something that we aren't doing. We're actually doubling down on this type of content. And here's how we're doing it. It's long form content generated with AI. We're supporting it with video content. And then we're making sure that we can capture that traffic. And sometimes it's as simple as a form embed. You don't have to get too fancy here. So one example of a page that is ranking for over 700 keywords, almost 800, 100% organically, there's no ad spend here, is our AI content detector page. And it's a blend of several different formats, which I think is going to be critical, as time goes on, to really prove experience. Not for every page, but your key pages, like your 5 to 6 landing pages, home page, about page, and service pages. So we're doing an up to 10 minutes YouTube video. It doesn't have to be fancy. This was really me just sitting at my desk talking about why you really need to make sure your content still reads human-like, even though AI content is no longer taboo. So I'm explaining that in this video. And then we have a lot of educational content. We have FAQ content, which is a good markup. Google, the schema markup there can really get those to rank in the people also ask question boxes in Google. And then the whole page itself is almost 1,200 words. So this is not a blog, it's a landing page ranking for almost 800 keywords. And this really is how. So this is what we're going to continue to do to really demonstrate EAT, which I think is going to be, nothing new under the sun. This was always important to do, but it just got even more important, really showing and demonstrating your experience factor. So a few things to help you really think about how can we display EAT, whether this is you doing it for your brand or for your clients. If you serve clients, think about really ditching imposter syndrome. I know that's not as practical as here's, a 7-step list on how to write content, but I think everything really does start with mindset. And it's easy to say, well, they're doing it better than me, so why should I even try? And that's just not true. There is so much opportunity, especially if we see little niche sites outranking Forbes in the new AI search. I think that's incredible. So it means that we have so much opportunity to actually claim our place as an expert. You have years of experience. And even if you don't, like, the things you're learning just by doing are incredible. So really step into that and showcase that in your content, what you publish on your site, and then stay really true to the topics. Create another website if you want to do another niche publication. That is the right strategy. You really want to be topically accurate on your website because, again, in the AI search, what we saw over and over was Google favoring that topical authority. So if you're talking about pets, better have a pet-related domain. You really want to be crystal clear with what you publish. And then think about content that always informs the reader and addresses other questions. So you want to catch all of their FAQs in that one piece of content. And then absolutely use AI, time to, but just make sure that you're checking it before it goes out. And I think Damian had a great case study. He may have already shared, but I'll go through one of ours as well at Content at Scale. This is one of my favorites. So we had a publisher. His name is Troy Erickson, and he runs copywriting.org, but he actually runs another full-time business. This was a business on the side. And what he was able to do was 6 months of content and domain growth in just 1 month using Content at Scale, which is just some clarification. It's 100% built for SEO blogging. Like, that is what this tech stack is good at. And it's 3 different NLPs. So it's not just, an average old GPT call or a chat GPT clone. It really is something that the founder took a year to build and tons of breaking before we found something that really, really killed it for long form blogging. So what Troy did was he completely avoided having to hire an army of human writers, which is what you typically have to do for his kind of output. And he just gave Content at Scale to his SEO person. And this SEO person ran the whole thing. Troy didn't even have to touch it. So what he was able to publish in 1 month, 1.5 months actually, was 70 pieces of content. And his DR, domain rating, domain authority, went from 6 to 20 in just 1 month. And now he's doing 100 pieces per month. And the best part, he's not having to stop running his other businesses. He really can do this on the side. Until AI, speaking from experience, running a human writing agency, this would take so many writers. It would not just be a full-time job. It would be you pulling out your hair at night. How do I get this writer? How do I get this done? So this really solves so many headaches. It's incredible. And what we found is, our best users know how to use the right tools. ChatGPT is great for short form, great for email headlines. It is not good for blogging. It doesn't know SEO. It doesn't know semantic analysis. It doesn't know FAQ schema. So all of these things our tool knows, and it does on the spot. It goes and crawls the top of Google and rewrites and creates fresh content every single time for your keyword. So the right tools really make the right difference. And it's funny because I've really tried to get ChatGPT to do this even before I joined Content at Scale. I was really trying to get ChatGPT to do this. And it really does take like 50 prompts to get a good SEO long form blog out of it. So with Content at Scale, you can do this. And something that we teach as well, we'll wrap up here, is this framework. So this framework really helps you think through, what do I need to do before I publish this piece of content? And you don't need to do a lot, because what's interesting is our tool actually gets better week after week with the product team. So your work gets less and less, and that's our goal going forward. But you don't want to skip this, because AI content is notorious for some of these problems. It's notorious for adding fluff. So you want to read it, cut the fluff. You want to check the keywords. Are they written in there naturally? You want to add images, visuals, media, bring that post to life. And you want to always double check the facts. GPT can be wildly off sometimes with the facts. So double check that and make sure that those are all accurate. And something that Content at Scale does, it links directly to the source of that fact. So that's something that's really important to us, is the integrity of these facts. Where are they from? How do we source them? How do we attribute that author? So that's actually happening. There's some automation in that. So it happens when you give it a keyword, the post actually includes the links. And then trust building is such a key element, especially for that experience factor that Google wants to see, and personal story, a specific tone of voice that you have, links to authority resources, all of that really builds trust. So this is where we'll wrap. We have a special offer with Damian. If you do want to try out Content at Scale, that will actually give you 20% more credits for free when you subscribe to any plan. This is not a free tool, but how we look at it is, you could go hire a freelancer for hundreds of dollars, or you could use this software and actually decrease that all the way down to like 15 to 30 bucks per post. And what's interesting is, I know there's a lot of freelancers in here, and a lot of our users are freelancers. And what they're doing is they're reducing their workload by actually using Content at Scale instead of writing it all from scratch themselves. And then they just take that value to the client. My content output just got faster. It just got better. Here's another service I can include with what I'm offering you. So they've restructured their entire business with this software, and they've gotten more time and more freedom. So that's something you can definitely use if you're a freelancer thinking, well, instead of this replacing me, let me get ahead of that curve. Like I did. I was the writer last year, worried about all this stuff. Now here I am working at Content at Scale. So getting ahead of it, I think is the best plan of action for success, playing offense and getting ahead of what's coming, because we're really in times that I have never seen in the last 10 years. And we're in the very early phase where I think a lot of reward will come to the early adapters. So I will go ahead and stop screen sharing and then move it to you, Damian, for any questions that we could facilitate, or whatever you want to do next.
Right. Does anyone have any questions? What I might do when you guys sign off is I might actually take if you guys want to spend 10 minutes with me, I'll take you through the software and we can produce an article for one of your businesses or one of your clients, if you like. And I'll gift that article to you guys, or to someone who wants to do that, just so you can see how it works. And I haven't gone through our case study yet, but I can take you through that too. But while Julia and Gena are here, did you have any questions for them? No? All right, well, I think we're good. Did you guys want to go through an example and see the software in action? Yeah, okay, cool. Well, I might just take them through an example. But thanks, guys, for your time and coming in and presenting to us here out in Croatia. So does anyone have an article that you have in your work at the moment that you want to produce?
We can do some content marketing.
Right.
We can do just an example.
So here's an opportunity for someone to get some work done. I'm going to do your work for you for tomorrow if someone has an article. Oh, for Friday. Not in Macedonia. It's not a holiday in Macedonia, is it? Does someone want an article for your business? Just a topic. Yeah, just a topic that you guys... Does anyone have a blog? Sorry? Customer experience. All right, so let's do customer experience. From a keyword, so you see here they have, we can do a rewrite of an existing blog post. We can do a rewrite of a podcast episode, a YouTube video, audio file, and so forth. So there's different options to produce. Do you have a keyword that you want to use for customer experience? Want to maybe customer experience management or optimization or improvement? Dana, do you mind just shutting the door?
Sorry?
Can you just shut the door?
It's getting really loud. I'm able to just information.
Customer experience improvement, maybe?
Yeah.
So customer experience improvement, that's probably going to be quite a popular keyword, but let's just do it anyway. So, and we haven't done any, obviously usually before you do one of these articles, you do keyword analysis to work out which are the best keywords to do with search volumes and so forth. So customer experience improvement or optimization? Improvement? All right, so now we have to give a bit of context about what we want this to be. So what do we want to write the article about? What do we want to write this article? We just need to give like 2 or 3 sentences giving context for the article. Okay, so write this article to discuss systems. Sorry? Ticketing systems. In customer service and how they can be used. I'm just adding some here, so tell me if you don't like it, but how can it be used in long-term improvements in customer experience? Do you want to have it in a specific like retail sense or a business to business sense or e-commerce? Okay. Right, in context with business to business, B2B. Banking? In the banking industry. Okay. Do you want to use the current tools or existing tools that banks use, or I mean, we can just leave it like that and see what happens? Yeah. Okay, we'll just leave it like this. So the first thing is you have this customize button here, and that's quite good. And what this usually does is gives us the outline of the article. Cannot create right now. Sometimes that usually happens. That's happened to me a couple of times when there's a challenge with it's usually an internet issue that causes that. But I'll just try that again. It always happens when you're recording, doesn't it? It has happened a couple of times, but it is just the internet connection, so it possibly. All right, let's go straight to the content. But usually, what happens is you get like 5 or 6 bullet points. This is the outline of the article we're going to write, and then you can add topics or move them around or change the topics if you wanted to write with a different sort of outline. Well, we'll just go create content now. Are you sure? All right, so it started now, and it's got an in-queue here, so it's going to be 4 minutes. So we have to do something for 4 minutes. So I'm going to go pour myself a glass of wine. Dina, can you entertain everyone while I'm... All right, so maybe while we're thinking, maybe, Dina, you can ask everyone what their favourite topic for today has been, or...
Hey guys. We already asked the last position. We also, we've seen probably Damian's is more descriptive about how to prepare, and then that was in general what to expect of AI, what AI can do, and now I would say case study of a tool we can all use to use AI in our businesses.
Actually, I can show you the case study that I mentioned before. So this website here is a website that I've been helping a friend with, and it's an African website. Shannon, my friend, she does jewellery she makes jewellery out of semi-precious stones, and a lot of the proceeds that she has, she puts through to wildlife conservation in South Africa. She's a National Geographic cinematographer, so she's got amazing photos and videos and that sort of thing. So we've just been using content at scale in her blog here. So a lot of these articles are this is one that we just released yesterday on horse rescue, and this one's in India. And you see here, we put in the blog post, we put links to her charity bracelets there. Another one we did recently. Some of these, like the three here, we didn't use content at scale for the World Bee Day and the Father's Day gift guide. We wanted to write those paragraph by paragraph, so we used Jasper for those instead. But then some of these other ones later, like rhino extinction, was one we wrote recently. And these are all from content at scale. So you see, content scale does a table of contents for you. The images Shannon put in herself. One thing about being a photographer, she's got amazing images. The key takeaways, they're already formatted in the article from content at scale too. Quite often they've got Twitter click to tweet boxes also. So that's the website. And what I wanted to do with these is, quite often with Google that you get a good ranking this week because it's new, and then you look back 3 weeks later and all the ranking's gone, you can't find the article anymore. It's page 5 or 7 or whatever. So I've been tracking since we started. So these are in a reverse chronological order. So this is the first one we did, but I've been tracking these based on each week because I want to make sure that the positions for these posts are sticky. They stay. They're not good one day and then 3 months later they're gone. So, and these are the keywords we've done. So and a lot of these keywords are low, or most of them are low to medium competition in the searches. So we're not going for the high competition keywords. We don't think that that's appropriate strategy for blog posts. But so Grand Hornbill Conservation, we got a #1 position for that blog post already. So you search Grand Hornbill Conservation and our article comes #1. With the articles that we've been doing week by week over 2 months, as of yesterday, today's Wednesday? I'm confused with my dates. It must be jet lag. But I checked all the rankings again this morning, and these are just blog posts. They're not home pages or anything like that. Out of all the articles that we've done, we've got 4 page 1 results, 2 top positions. We've got 2 page 2 results. Some we've missed the mark with a little bit, and these ones that miss the mark, they don't really go anywhere. But the ones that are page 1, page 2 tend to gradually improve. These ones, we didn't really have a keyword we're targeting with those because we did those with a combination of Jasper and ChatGPT. So I'm not sure. I'll keep an eye on the traffic with those, but I'm not sure exactly what keyword I'm supposed to be chasing. But then the horse rescue one we did this morning, that was posted this morning, so that's still not indexed on Google. So that's a pretty good result. So we have been doing these for 2 months, and already there's 4 page 1 results and 2 top position results for the articles. I've been tracking the traffic also for each of the individual articles. As I said, only 2 months. At the end of the first month, and the website's small, it's not a big e-commerce site, so it gets about 1,000 visits a month. These blog posts, what I've been measuring on this page is entry points, so new traffic that goes direct to those blog posts, not total sessions, but the new sessions. So you see after the first month, we've got 38 new visitors to the website. After the second month, 129 new visits. So 10% of the website's traffic now is from these blog posts from Content at Scale content within the first 2 months. So those blog posts hopefully will continue to improve and we're only doing one a week. So obviously with when they're doing 100 a month, that's obviously a lot more than one a week. That's 3 a day kind of thing. So we're doing one a week, and now already these are more than 10% of the website's traffic. So what we're looking at now is when the blog posts themselves start to sell the product within the blog post. That's the next thing that we're looking for. All right, back to our post. It's 40% done, so we're getting there. It's got a bit of a verification there. So does anyone have any questions about those results? It's pretty good though, isn't it, for not trying to optimize the website for the homepage, but for the individual blog posts and creating their own traffic.
Was listed as the author of the article.
Sorry?
Who is listed as the author?
It should be Shannon, the owner of the website.
But she didn't actually write it.
So what our process is, Content at Scale does the writing. I'll send it to her to edit. Then we finalise it in Content at Scale, and then we copy the source and just paste it into her blog. One of the things with Content at Scale is they do have, I haven't set up for Shannon yet, but they do have a automatic link for uploads into WordPress, and they've also got they've just got the API to automatically link it into Shopify blog posts too. So that can save you more time. Also, it just goes directly, press a button and goes straight into the blog. Yeah, so it's Shannon's website. We don't have a written by. We haven't put a written by into it, but it'll be Shannon's blog account, so it'll come up with
I was
that.
thinking about, can I use the AI's help to write something?
Yeah, absolutely.
My name, I wrote it.
Is it ethically correct?
Yeah.
So
I maybe gave you
sentences everything will be okay.
So it depends, look, really it depends on what you're doing. So Shannon, it's her website. She's using the blog post to attract traffic. If you're using AI to write a book that you're going to sell, that's a different. Yeah, but that's an ethical issue then. It's like, I'm selling a book and I'm putting myself as the author of the book, but it's been... Yeah, so, but you see there's different things. If you're actually doing blog posts for a client that are written by AI, I think you've got a obligation to be transparent about that with the client so they understand where the information's coming from for their websites. So this post is finished now, it's ready to look at. So that's how quick it writes. So let's, I'll just refresh the screen so I can get in and have a look. Oh, that's not ready yet. Hang on a sec. Sorry? Yeah. So in that time I'll be chatting, so it's 1,787 words. This is what's been written. So we won't go through all the content. It's a table of contents. You've got your click to tweet there, so you've got an automatic thing where you can click to tweet it. And Angela, I'll send you this article, you can have this too, I'll shoot you an email with it. So you've got here live chat features, so that's obviously you can see that's linked to the fact, the source of the information that Julia was talking about with the linking there. So it's a reasonable size article. Over here, you've got the title, the URL, slug suggested, meta description. You've got an SEO checklist. So like you can see here, the optimization is 66 out of 100, which isn't great. You really want it to be over 80. But you've got a checklist of where the gaps are. So primary keyword should be twice in the first 4 paragraphs, and it's not. And it should be after the last subheading, and it's not. So they're just 2 SEO structural things. So then you can go in and write the keyword into the first 4 paragraphs again, and then get a tick for that, and then that improves the score. So research, this is pretty cool. So you've got a plagiarism check. So this is checking for duplicate content, which is really important for SEO. So 0%, no plagiarism found. So that's pretty good. And then you've got a tool to check the style of writing to see if it appears to be written by a human in a style that a human would write, or if it's written by a robot. So you've got, so it's saying it's 99% likely to be written by a human. So 100% written by AI, and it's been written in a way that humans write. And it's funny, these AI writing detectors, it's funny how often a copywriter writes something as a human and then puts it into an AI, like an AI detector, and it's so robotic, their writing, that it actually comes back, or it's so processized, their writing, it comes back that it looks like it's been written by a robot. So, yeah, so this article, and you can see here the 99%, it highlights the issue, so you can go and change that to if you want. So, you know, super handy tool. But it's not ready, like really you have to read it, and you know, there'll be stuff that you don't like. Maybe there's stuff you want to elaborate, you can put some extra words in. Sometimes when we want to change an article, we will go to Jasper or ChatGPT to write, you know, an extra paragraph or two to fill it out, or to cut things back, or to rewrite it to make it sound a bit better. But that's how that tool works. Any questions about that? How long would it take us to, how many words would this? Where did I put it? Yeah, 1,668. How long would it take us to write that much content? 3 or 4 hours? Yeah. So not bad, hey? All right, well, that's pretty much it for today, I think, other than finishing the food. No one's allowed to leave until the food's finished.